This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised. Trigger warning. This episode contains the topic of suicide. Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is Loki's Gift. It was written by Lackey and Mike Mason, and it's available from Chaosium. Keith Craig is our keeper of arcane lore, and this is episode 2. Our recap will be given by me as my character, Florian Buckman. So, without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. The five of us were contacted by his lordship, Sir Richard Gladstone, to investigate the untimely death of his son, Master Charles Gladstone, at their Kensington estate. All of the circumstantial evidence seems to indicate suicide, but there was no note, nor was there a clear motivation for such drastic actions. Charles was a talented musician who struggled with his art, but where most young artists require the generous support of a patron, he had money and clout to pursue his craft at leisure. So that was certainly not his motivation. We assured Sir Richard that we would do our best to keep the details discreet. While still at his estate, Archie was able to speak with Charles's sister, who was deeply in mourning. Her testimony, as well as that of the other servants, gave us some insight into his personal life. There was a woman, you see, an actress named Margaret Cornwall, with whom young Charles was infatuated. Therein lies a possible motive. A member of the household staff told us that this woman would often visit while his lordship was away, but something must have soured between them, and their relationship ended some time ago. The staff also said that the master's music changed dramatically following the breakup. Sir Edward and Blake Walpole went upstairs to look through Charles's things. There was a musical composition Charles had been working on for a stage production entitled Loki's Gift. Eddie tried to play a little and found it nearly impossible, with complex time signatures and key changes and many discordant harmonies, quite strange. They also found a letter from a Mr. Daniel Ridley that placed him as a collaborator on the project, much to Charles' dismay. Apparently, a fellow by the name of Chillingsworth is in charge of the project and had some concerns. We were hoping to find among the White's membership someone who knew this Chillingsworth fellow or could get us an invite to the Pacific Club. We decided to surveil the Pacific Club in the hopes of recognizing someone we could use to gain entrance. Seems you have to be invited or it's a no-go. Fortunately, Gordon Underhill saw a business associate approaching who fit the bill. And so, I am currently in a game of billiards with Mr. Theodore Holcomb, the banker. Sir Edward is with us. Gordy has stepped out to let the other friends inside. You remember Blake Walpole and Archie Lovell, the painter. I can hear Archie speaking a bit too loudly down the stairs. I do hope he pulls himself together and doesn't embarrass us. Artists.
Now, I hear what you're saying about the multiple interpretations of the art.
You have to consider.
I've been listening.
I appreciate that. I appreciate an attentive audience and the considerations you've made. But again, in symbolist logic, it's not as though one thing represents another precisely, but each individual notion enters into a matrix with the other symbols, images, etc.
All right, so we're about to enter into the pool hall here. I expect you to
Oh,
be on your best behavior.
wonderful. I love a good game of billiards.
Hmm. When you come around the corner, you see Florian and Edward engaged in a game of billiards with a very well-dressed man who you guys know as Theodore Holcomb, and he he goes, "Oh, are these your associates there, Mr. Buckman?"
Yes, this is Blake Walpole and
At your service.
Archibald Lovell.
Ah,
Archie is an artist.
I see.
You keep introducing me like that. Why do you do that? I mean, yes, you didn't say, this is my good friend Blake Walpole, the playwright. No, no, no.
Oh,
But
Archie, I do
am
consider
the
you a
artist.
good friend.
Mm.
I want to highlight your talents, which are considerable.
Who are you to reject
So-
free advertising?
I should be flattered that I'm singled out where your other artistic friends are not. Sorry
Artists.
about that, Blake.
artists, you say? Goes, tell me, how do you come about your ideas for your artwork that you make or the plays that you write?
Oh, well, it's one of those mysterious things about art is the ideas come and they go. It's just sometimes you're wandering around the city and a scene strikes you and the idea is just there immediately. Sometimes you go for weeks without anything. It's really the muses are quite fickle.
Oh, the muses. So almost like an outside influence could maybe guide you toward what you want, and when that outside influence goes to a deeper slumber, they're not able to reach out to you.
I mean, in some sense, of course, this is one of those metaphorical things.
Of
I'm not
course,
positing
of
that the
course.
muses are actually sitting by some lake, you know,
Of course not.
commiserating their
Yeah.
woes with dryads and nymphs and what have you. I know, no.
No. We are men of science, but uh, there is something to be said about being in touch with the old beliefs.
Sure, it's a quite the revelries they had. I mean, if somebody wanted to invite me to a bacchanal, I wouldn't say no.
Hmm. You're a much more interesting conversationalist than I thought you would be when I heard you first enter into the building.
Listen, I'm an acquired taste, all right? This is people who only catch me in passing, you know, the bitter notes seem to be quite strong, but that's a complex flavor, I think, that I bring.
Hmm.
I think that's fair, Archie. As for slumbering and hidden inspiration, I myself keep a chapbook at my bedside table and jot down the nocturnal meanderings of my mind. I find the peculiar images and constructions of my sleeping mentality to be a source of ongoing inspiration and surprising breadth.
Oh, that's very interesting. I I would encourage you to practice opening up your mind more to what you see in your dreams. I think I'm one of the belief that the artists and the dreamers are closer to the truth than people that are just want to believe in science all the time. There's many mysteries of this world that science can't prove.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Like the power of say a painting to just have you spellbound by its influence is something that you can't test scientifically. Sure, you could examine the chemical makeups of the paint. You could look at the distribution of colors, like some mathematical formula, but really, there's just art itself has some magnetic power to it. It's
It
unlike
calls to
anything
you.
else.
Similar to how some sailors would say the ocean calls to them.
Yes, although I feel that the sailors they hear that call and then find that it's a time on board a ship can be quite dull.
Hmm.
And so you think so deeply on these matters. I assume that you're a creator of some sort yourself, perhaps a writer.
Only a sponsor of the arts.
A patron.
Yes, connoisseur.
I was just discussing with your friend Florian about that. He informed me. What do you do? You do art shopping for a for some for
Oh,
a
no, I
sponsor?
curate his collection.
Yes.
He likes to do his own acquisitions. I never know what's going to come in a crate the next day. I was telling Archibald earlier that there's a bunch of paintings that he's been collecting from some Dutch fellow named Van Gogh. I'd say it's kind of crude, but it's actually kind of compelling also to look at. A visionary.
Interesting.
Well, often the cutting edge of art is often derided and mocked as something as primitive or backward, but really it is the future. I myself have little patience for the old ways. There's only so many neoclassical paintings you can look at. Everybody trying to imitate the Greeks and the Romantics, but it's our time. I mean, things are changing so fast. But with the rise of machinery, the rise of cities, there's so much about our modern life that just can't quite be captured by those old ways. And those who will cling to them will die clinging to them. Hopeless sort, the conservatism in art. I am one for the avant-garde.
See. How about you, Gordon and Edward? I mean, I know that you shoot a mean game of billiards, but are you artist yourself?
I'm familiar in the ways of composition. I composed several a piece myself. I know my way around conducting and a bit of the piano as well. I'm no Mozart, but I'm no amateur either.
Oh, good.
As for myself, I can't say that I've ever had much of a talent for the artistic pursuits. I much prefer the arts, finance, and monetary flows. As you know, Sir Holcomb, I'm known as someone who can facilitate transactions, and some of which may include art. Lord Gladstone was quite pleased at the Galgon I was able to acquire for him some time ago.
Yes. Mr. Underhill only knows art if it hits him in the face with the price tag.
Well, that's okay. If it wasn't for someone that was willing to buy, then the artist would just be starving in the street.
True, I would.
Exactly.
That'd be terrible. That'd be a terrible place. I have too refined of a palate, I think, to be comfortable living on the street.
It's a mutually beneficial proposition, as they say.
Yes. Well, I hope you don't think I'm too forward, but I couldn't help but notice that when I was approaching this club, you were the three of you were outside. I think Archibald and Blake had weren't about, but were you wanting something? It almost seemed like you were hoping to find someone that could assist you. I mean, normally I don't invite people in, but I got a sense that you were needing something, and the hour is getting late, and I need to be at work in the morning.
Yes,
To be
sir.
to
This
be
is
perfectly honest, yes, we were interested in the Pacific Club for some time now. Just
when he says he has somewhere to be, and he's prodding us about us here. Could I attempt a psychology roll to assess his body language or look for any kind of a tell, especially when he's saying like, "Oh, I've got to get going home soon."
Oh, sure.
I'll spend. Oh no, but I'm the group luck roller. That's a dangerous game to spend luck.
It is. It is.
Well, we're living
And
dangerously
I
because I'm
will
going to
tell,
spend.
but before you do that, I will tell you that with his charm and psychology, you will need a hard.
You know what? I think I'm not going to make our group luck percent chance 20, so I'll take
Okay.
that failure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yes.
I mean, I'm always in the business of getting to know people of the particular temperament. I've heard that there's a great deal of artists that frequent here that are part of the avant-garde stream that I myself am always keen to be closer to.
Oh, there are. We do tend to attract more of the artistic types. Yeah, I might have played my hand too open, which was why I might have been asking about your arts and your inspirations. We're always looking to grow the club and respected artists with there's no way to put this without sounding a little uncouth with financial means are always a fine recruit.
Well, I just so happen to be a fine artist of financial means.
Ah. Yeah.
I as well.
Oh, well, maybe
As
this
you see, Lord Holcomb, I feel it was wise to invite these gentlemen up as well. Your club is well known as for its distinguished taste in artistic types, and yeah, we would much appreciate to learn more about this club.
Well, I will have to take it up with the club president, of course, but I will say that there's been very few that I've sponsored that have not been accepted.
You're a man of fine taste, as this Scotch attests to.
Ah, yes. Goes, well, let's finish up our game and then call it an evening. After all, business does arrive in the morning, no matter how much we celebrate the night prior.
Life is how does the saying go? A bitch for that.
I haven't heard that one, but I like how it flows.
Lord Holcomb, I must speak to you about the gentleman you have, I dare say, gentleman, at the front door. He was quite, shall I say, uncouth with us as we were entering. Felt very, very unfriendly.
Oh, did he now? I've talked to him about that before. I will talk to him again on that.
Yes.
He should be assisting people, whether or not they're members or not. His job is to allow people access or turn people away, not to make them feel unwelcome once they've been invited.
I understand how hard it is to find a good front, person for an organization. We've had quite the surly lot come through recently. We've had to terminate several of them recently.
It's always a shame, but it is necessary to keep the club running the way the members want.
Indeed.
So the game finishes up, and he finishes up his scotch that he was drinking, and he's like going, "Well, gentlemen, this has been a most pleasurable evening." And he hands you a card. It has his office address. He works at the major bank, and he goes, "If you need anything, please reach out."
We exchange cards so that he
Yeah.
gets ours
Got
as well,
Mhm.
or gets mine at least.
Mine as well.
Well, thank
Oh.
you.
Mhm.
Well, gentlemen, what a pleasant evening we've had.
Well-
Yes, that's definitely one of the more enjoyable ones. What was it that I'm sorry, the sherry's clouding my mind. We gathered together because oh, that's right. Gladstone's son killed himself.
Oh, a friend of yours' son died by his own hand? That is a
Oh my goodness, the banker is still here. I have clearly had too much to drink.
Yes, a tragedy. I believe it was announced in the papers. His funeral was held recently. It was quite
Oh.
a shame.
Oh, Lord Gladstone. Yes, I did remember seeing that. I understand why you were drinking heavily there, Archibald, if dealing with a recent tragedy in your life. You have my sympathies.
Why, thank you. Yes, it's been quite a hard time, you know,
Hmm.
seeing such a young artist like oneself losing hope. You know, I feel like so many of us artistic types deal with such struggles. So
Yes,
it's always hard when you see somebody give in. Makes
it
you all those
is.
feelings come back up.
It is the risk of opening up your minds to the art and to the dreams. If sometimes the dreams, the muses, as you call them, they can whisper words that instead of giving you hope and inspiration, give you despair.
Yes, often, yeah, never being quite good enough to please them. They're quite a demanding sort, the muses.
Yes, they can be.
Well, gentlemen, let's make our retreat. Good night, Sir Holcomb.
Good night. And as he comes out, he kind of walks out with you. You see him stop, and the doorman, he goes, "Mr. Robbins, these gentlemen are my friends, and I would appreciate if you would treat them as so, and give them any help that they would need. Of course, I don't ask you to violate the rules of the club. They are not full members, but we will treat them as perspectives." He goes, of course, sir." With that, Theodore, he tips his top hat at you, and then he walks out the building, and you kind of see him head off to the east.
Gentlemen, shall we retire for the evening, or shall we have a little discussion once we are, unless he's still hanging around and listening?
Theodore's gone, but if you're still in the kind of like the lobby, obviously,
No, well,
dormant. Yeah.
There might be some wisdom to making sure we're away from listening ears. But I'm always over for a discussion over sherry.
Yes. Robbins, could you call a carriage for us and we'll get out of your hair?
Of course.
And remember, it's the Louis Vuitton umbrella. I know it may be hard for you to remember, given our condition.
Yes, I remember, sir.
Oh, excellent.
And he hands it out. He goes, "It was very lucky of you to just happen along the street when Mr. Holcomb was coming on, almost like you were looking out for someone.
How strange. I didn't ask you for your opinion about our appearance here this evening. I believe you were getting us a carriage.
Yes. Oh, of course, sir.
Yes, thank you. It's very important for the help to, stay focused on their tasks.
Yes, it is.
That's why I'm not married.
So he he flags down a carriage and 2 carriages. He goes, 2 carriages, please. Then they show up and he goes, I look forward to not seeing you again.
I'm wondering
Spit on the ground.
I'm wondering if there's any place nearby. I don't know what time it is. It's late.
Yeah, it's probably like 12:30, almost 1 in the morning.
This isn't modern day, so there's probably not a Denny's open
Nah.
in 1836.
Please, we could all retire to my house.
I've heard this is a place that serves the worst meat pies in London.
Yeah, probably the only people, out on the streets in the nice part of town, is maybe a police officer and maybe the guys that make sure the street lights stay lit.
Yeah. And in the bad parts of town, it's the prostitutes.
Yeah, exactly.
But
please, no, we could all retire to my parlor.
Yes. But Archie, as much as we all care for you, you need to drink a little less. We are trying to be very discreet about Charles's death.
Well, I mean, there was the article about it, wasn't there not?
Yes, we didn't have to attach ourselves to it, though.
I would say, however, Florian, in that regard, that we learned something somewhat interesting in that this club seems rather small and closely connected, and he did not acknowledge any awareness of Charlie or his passing, even though we have every reason to believe that his unintended collaborator, at least, and their controller, this Chillingworth, are members. So they're already suggesting something secretive about the place, which we wouldn't have otherwise realized.
Also, when Archie gave his little comments about Bacchanal, Theodore Holcomb certainly didn't seem surprised or shocked at the notion. Perhaps that's what this is some little clique.
Since we joined you a bit later, we didn't see much of the place. Do you suppose there are private rooms upstairs? Was there money?
More to it than what we saw.
Was there money on the billiard game? What else do you know about what goes on here?
Did we wager on the billiard game?
Nope. It was purely a device to occupy your time while you had a conversation.
Did we see other people gambling in billiards or people playing billiards in general?
Nope. When you went in, there was some people in other rooms, sitting and talking. But when you went into the billiards room, there were 2 tables, but you were the only ones in there.
Was there any more staff than Robbins?
Sure. Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
I admit I've got a bit of a slightly uneasy feeling between that awfully rude doorman and Theodore mentioning seeing us lingering outside. I hope we're not walking into some kind of a trap. But what am I saying?
Well,
I'm far too paranoid.
I thought it discreet in order to just simply say, yes, we were kind of wanting to gain access, but for our own amusement.
There weren't any females in the establishment that any of you saw, is that right?
No.
I think that's a norm for a lot of gentlemen clubs in the era, though.
Oh, certainly. No, there shouldn't have been, but it would be an interesting alteration of the pattern if this
That's
club
true.
allowed
That's true.
females
a
as
dead
staff or clientele or proprietresses or anything of the sort.
I mean,
So
there's
yes,
I'm sorry, I was just going to comment. There's a club across town where they let women in, but only on the first floor.
very
What
progressive.
rubbish.
So a sherry at Archie's, and then we'll make our way home. Happily, I do not have to be at some dismal bank office at an ungodly hour in the morning. And I do want to write down some thoughts about this evening. Did he explain to you why the place was called the Pacific Club? Are they pacifists?
Oh no, it had something to do, didn't it, with something on the Pacific coast, as I recall.
He was talking about the South Seas,
Or the
wasn't
South
he?
Pacific. Yes, the South Pacific.
Oh, Hawaii, that sort of thing? Fiji?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, and Kangaroo Land and whatnot.
There wasn't anything in the decor that we saw that looked tiki.
No.
No.
Did he perk
Was
up at
it
all when I
just-
said Galgong? Did he like, I don't know, Tahiti? I probably
No, let me look at his his art skill. So
I don't know
actually he
when-
probably would have, because he's got pretty good art, fine art. And so yeah, again, he's like, oh,
I don't know when the white people took over Hawaii.
Oh, well.
Coming out of it, I shouldn't-
1870s, 1880s.
Colonizing usually starts upon arrival. There's usually not a great waiting period.
But I
All right,
think that we
guys.
tricked the Hawaiians into.
You mean
Well-
the Americans?
Cook didn't.
The Yanks did that.
Yeah.
Fruit companies have feelings too, guys.
hmm. All right, so you guys make it back to Archie's parlor. And here, Archie, I assume you have sherry.
Yeah, I have more than sherry. I've got the whole gamut. What does
Well, you're well known
Sherry.
for a fine Amontillado.
that's in the basement?
Whatever is handy then.
The crypts under the basement.
Yeah.
Please sit. Make yourselves comfortable.
Amontillado, dessert wine for after dessert.
I must say, Archie, your internal decor taste has always been rather outre.
Well, I mean, what can I say? I've always been rather outre myself.
Fair point.
Most of these pieces are done by myself, of course.
Oh, I really like this piece. It makes me want to curl up and scream a little.
Hmm. Then you're getting the right idea.
It's what did you call this? Expressionism.
Yes, it's
Ism.
Nothing like a little bit of curdling
Yes.
and screaming before
some
bed.
people
Oh,
have called it impressionism. I think it's something. I feel color and paint. Just trying to capture a feeling, and
Yes, yes.
it's
I've heard
not
it's-
about trying to make it look exactly like the thing you're trying to make it look like. That's just so overdone.
An attempt to to cause a reaction in a person
Hmm.
rather than just please their eyes.
Yes, there's such a range of emotions to feel. I mean, of course, a refined aesthetic appreciation is always warranted, but also, I mean, feelings of love, the erotic, fear, anger, sorrow, joy. There's such a range than just people peacefully sitting in a garden. Oh, wow, that's how many times has that been done?
or a table covered with oranges.
The vase with the flowers and the skull. Yes, yes, yes.
So back to the subject. What do you think of this whole thing? Do you think that Charles committed suicide over some woman?
I think so much of life has to do with so many other things. It's like the complex matrices of meaning that Walpole has been lecturing me about. It's not just the one thing.
Lecturing, hardly.
It's his romantic failings in conjunction with his artistic pressures, the hiring of another artist to come and finish his work because he was not getting it in on time by somebody else's dictums, his relationship with his father, his own temperament, his own means, like
with his father.
I think that his father's rather disappointed in him. No, I mean, was. Charlie didn't strike me as much of following in the way of the family business. This whole
Gladstone's a rather serious individual, and probably considers the art and the music frivolous.
Yeah.
Charles certainly seemed prone to flights of fancy, from what we can tell so far.
Yeah, at the same time, Lord Gladstone was proud of his son's musical exceptionalism when he was youthful.
Yes.
Encouraged the lad. It just seems as though they didn't emotionally bond, which is hardly surprising. Fathers and sons notoriously can be somewhat at odds.
Wasn't one of you saying something on the like that it's bad for a children's brain to get praised when they're young?
Yes, I said that. I mean, not so much in the beginning you want to encourage the child, but eventually you don't want to tell them that they're God's gift to the planet when they're 12.
Yes, that could cause quite a rather inflated ego.
One should have a bit of humility.
Now, how many? I gave a card to Holcomb, and I know you did, Buckman. Did the rest of you as well?
I did, yes.
I've met Lord Holcomb prior to this meeting, and so he's aware of my contact information.
So
I don't think Archie does business cards.
That is absolutely correct. My paintings will speak for themselves, and they do so very loudly.
I'd like to place a wager about who of us is invited to join the club and how soon.
Well, I probably shouldn't have kicked his ass at billiards.
Yes, we did do quite the number.
Damn competitive.
You did quite the number. I was failing on my face.
What else is new? But I believe I will be receiving an invitation to this club of theirs.
I thought
he seemed to like artists.
I believe he said that we were all prospectives.
He did.
He seemed especially interested in Archie, admittedly, what with talking of paganism and weird comments about dreams. Anyone else think that was a weird metaphor?
I believe that was Walpole who was talking about dreams. Was it not?
Oh, maybe. Too much sherry on my end.
Yes, Holcomb mentioned slumbering, the muses slumbering, something to that effect.
Yeah, sometimes they give you the cold shoulder.
So what do you say, 10 shillings a day on each of us, payable after at least 3 of us have been admitted?
I'd be willing to bet 5 times that much that I will be the first.
I mean, if you're like throwing money away, that's your business.
Indeed it is, and it's why I'm confident that I will be picked first, for I have a rather fat wallet.
Count me in.
I will bet you 10 times that amount that I will be first.
I will match that bet. 100 shillings.
Yes, he's not going to go over 100 shillings. Please.
All right. So we'll draw up a short contract regarding the construction of this bet. So Back to the point of secrecy, we feel fairly certain that if Charlie wasn't a member of the Pacific Club, he was at least a guest or closely related to at least one and probably at least two members. And I believe we also expect that he met this actress through his connection to the club. So why was Holcomb so po-faced about the whole matter? Do you suppose there is a direct connection that they're eager to hide? And if so, does that make joining the club prospectively a bit dangerous?
Well, we know that Chillingsworth is in charge of this Loki's gift production.
Yes. So is he.
And that's obviously where the actress probably comes in. She's probably starring in it or whatever. They brought in Charlie for the musical score, which Sir Edward says is quite bizarre.
And then we're impatient with him.
I was wondering about that, Sir Edward. When you attempted to play it, perhaps it's complex and the melody comes out through the cacophony while it's being played. And,
maybe, but I've always been, people have always told me that I don't have piano hands and that my fingers are too stubby. It makes me a little bit slower than my mind. But I could try it again, but I still feel that the technical prowess is still a little bit beyond me, at least to play. But in reading, it's still, maybe it sounds better in practice, but the chords are so discordant. I don't think it will sound good.
Yeah.
And the piece is written as a piano score, or was it written for an orchestra and you were playing a melody line or?
Keeper. I think it's for piano, right?
Just a second. Let me look here. It is for an orchestra.
Okay, so I was only able to.
There's a piano score usually at the bottom and then the full orchestra score.
Need to get some bloody trombones.
So it's possible, even though the melodic line was chaotic, that there's something about the whole score that would make it clearer. It's also indicative of the ambition of the production of Loki's gift. Writing
he was calling it his life's. Charles was referring to it as his life's work and was killing himself over the supposedly being stolen. That's one thing that we should keep in mind here is what does that mean? Is that just a bit of madness in his last moments before he loses grip on reality and faces the darkness of death? Or is there...
This is... have to think, Edward, about the kind of youthful misperception of time. Charlie was a very young man of high artistic ambition, so there wasn't very much of his life to call something his life's work. But still, it shows that it had some kind of outsized importance to him, almost an obsessive compulsion to get this done. And so with that being jeopardized, he didn't really have a good long view of things, so it seemed like it was all over. This is I take a good step back from that word of madness. I just think that he needed some guidance from someone who had multiple failures in their young artistic career to see that that you can get through these things, but he unfortunately let it get to him.
Perhaps it was some sort of nervous breakdown that he had, because rather than being able to express his art in a manner at his own pace, he was being pushed to finish it, pushed and pushed and pushed. And that can drive a creative mind crazy.
As much as it pains me to say it, I believe Archie's theory here is most likely the correct one. I believe, as most artistic types are wont to do, he was cast off the deep end when his love ended with Miss Cadwell or Cornwall. And I believe that his artistic passion and temperament led to his drastic decision. It seems to be the most reasonable explanation at this point.
It's a terrible shame. Sometimes tragedy can actually improve the artist. That's not much fun for the artist, but it's fun for the rest of us to see the art.
Tortured soul.
Well, gentlemen, I find myself weary, and I think tomorrow I'm going to see if I can locate this Cornwall woman.
Yes.
I know
Chillingsworth.
enough. Well, Chillingworth,
Production.
I only have the connection of the club, whereas Cornwall, I know a number of performers who know performers. Somebody must have an address for the young lady.
We must not forget Mr. Ridley as well.
Yes, we know where he is.
And
Perhaps
Blake,
we
if you,
can-
you remember last session, you know that Cornwall is performing the Shop Girl. That's the current play she signed up to perform in.
Right, but was that a couple days away from opening? Do I remember?
It is. It's a few weeks, but it's at the Gaiety Theater. Is what you'd.
Oh, they'll be in
Practicing.
performance, of course. Yeah, a rehearsal. Uh-huh.
But yeah, you should be able to find out where this Chillingsworth is planning on putting on his little Loki's Gift production.
Not so little if there's a full orchestra.
Oh, that's true.
Mhm.
Well, shall we divide and conquer, gentlemen, tomorrow and go our various ways to follow up on these leads?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll be at White's for breakfast. If anyone wants to join me.
That'd be a
So-
good morning touch
Yeah.
base, refresh game plan, make sure there's no bumps in the night we don't account for yet. White's in the morning. Unless Archie's too hungover. I might be too.
I can hold my sherry just fine.
Day after nausea hits when you least expect it.
Oh, I mean, it's pretty well expected, it seems.
Good
All
night, gentlemen.
right. All right.
Pleasant
So
dreams.
you guys take carriages back to your various places. I'd like each of you to give me a power roll.
Oh, drat. 85.
Okay.
96.
I almost rolled a d20.
91.
Oh my god.
Oh my
Hey,
god.
Tom, I'm in the
30
90s club.
is a hard success.
All
I
right.
got 98 over 60, so not a fumble, but fail.
Okay. So
I got 3 people in the 90s.
wow.
Yeah, 390s.
My
Another-
dice
Another
are
one was
really
in the
hot
80s.
or really cold. There's no in between.
All right. So the 5 of you, your dreams are it's like you're in the ocean, and by you're kind of floating along, and then you dive down into the ocean. And Archibald, that's where your dream kind of ends, and all is diving into the ocean. The other 4, as you're swimming down, you see this island that has the geometry on it just does not make sense. And as you keep swimming to it, which you know it must be a dream because surely you would have drowned or been crushed by the pressure of the ocean because you keep descending down, down, down. As you get closer and closer to it, something about the architecture bothers you. And that's where Florian, Blake's, and Edward's dream ends. But Gordon, because you fumbled on your power roll, you swim up to this large building, and the door starts opening, and you see these eyes kind of glowing, but the eyes are as large as you are. And that's when you wake up. And all of you wake up except for Archie in just a pool of sweat. Gordon, you wake up and you've actually pissed yourself. You were
My God. Oh, oh.
Is there a sand roll for seeing funky geometry in our dreams?
Yeah, let's give a sand roll on that.
I'm the kid that at the end of the class asks for if there's homework.
That's right. Yeah, everyone loves that guy.
Yeah.
Teacher, could we be punished, please?
Fittingly, I failed.
I failed it.
87.
Okay. For Florian, Blake, and Edward, if you fail, it's just 1 point of sanity. Gordon, for you, it'll be 1d4.
I passed.
Okay. So 0.
It's not the first fishy dream I've ever had, but rather vivid.
A constitutional on the New England coast met this weird town by the name of Innsmouth.
Yeah.
I think I'll have herring for breakfast.
Oh, God.
Oh.
I'm like shaking and pale, crawling up the whites, coffee black. Oh,
Yeah, you probably feel like, when you've had a fever and you just wake up and your bedding is soaked and just how drained you are after a night of just that.
my debate is: do I tell the maid or do I shamefully do my own laundry as a gentleman in 1890s?
What you pay them for.
All right. But you guys do gather at White's Gentlemen's Club for breakfast.
Well, gentlemen, nice hearty breakfast.
Is that herring?
Yes. I had a strange craving for herring this morning. Not my usual thing, but I dreamt last night of the sea, and
Really?
yes, I was swimming in the sea. I don't recall.
I gotta
much
drop.
else.
I drop my fork really loud.
Are you all right, Gordy?
To go on. What did you see in your dream?
Well, I was swimming. I dove down into the sea, and I swam amongst the fishes, and there
Did
was
you see it?
Well, there was an island that
When Gordon says, "Do you see it?" I make eye contact with him.
You saw it. You saw it, sir.
Yes, I don't know what the hell it was. Couldn't make damn sense of it, but I saw some queer structure under the waves.
Yes.
Are you saying we had the same dream?
From what you're sounding, it sounds quite similar to mine.
Well,
Ooh, this is exciting. It's like a novel.
I do hate to disappoint, but I mean, I did dream at some point about the ocean. I don't recall any diving or swimming among strange architecture.
It must have been suggested to. We spoke of the South Pacific.
Yes,
and
the
it
Pacific
was in our
Club.
heads.
Yes, the seeds were there. The dream mind took it up and was having fun.
But gentlemen, I don't know if any of you saw this. I'm still quite shaken from it. Did any of you go into the structure?
Oh no, I woke up.
I wouldn't imagine they would be into such a shape. It didn't make any sense. Up and
Couldn't see any
down.
damn windows.
There was something in there, something quite terrible. I daren't think of it.
Well, now I'm disappointed. I wish I had such an extensive dream. I could have painted it. Oh, what a wonderful painting that would be.
Gentlemen, we also did speak of the club and parts of it that we didn't see and we worried about.
We were talking about paganism as well, work of the devil.
So, yeah, it seems like it just worked its way into all of our minds.
I didn't realize, Edward, that you were such a religious sort.
Well, I think faith is a very important part of life, but I still consider myself a bit open-minded when it comes to the new discoveries of science and the like, but I believe in a higher power.
Hmm. And you believe that all paganism is the work of the devil? This higher power of yours seems rather Christian.
I am a Christian indeed.
Abrahamic, yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Well, nothing against those poor savages. They didn't know the difference.
Perhaps we're all savages and we're just getting little inklings of what the truth is. A little here, a little there, and nobody can piece it
Perhaps.
together.
But Gordon, do take solace in that whatever you saw in your dream, it was a dream.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
Some say
One
the
too many of
piecing,
those conscious, I suppose.
some say that the piecing together of science in the future might lead us to a new dark age.
Who knows?
The
I'll be
most
long
merciful
dead by
thing in
then.
the world, I think, is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its contents.
What are you mumbling about?
I don't know, honestly.
That's when the title card
Sounds rather
appears.
silly.
So, to the matter at hand,
Yes.
the rehearsals at the Gaiety probably don't begin until the afternoon. So I have the morning free, I suspect. I don't think too many of us should approach Daniel Ridley at once. We don't want it to make it seem as though we're the Inquisition.
Yes, I feel like at most, two is a respectable number. Three is pushing it, but still excusable. Any more than that, and it gets weird.
I wonder if the most suitable would be Mr. Underhill and myself, because as a playwright, I perhaps have some standing, and Underhill is better at dealing with people and their needs.
Perhaps. No, I
Unless you
will.
have other
I will say
composition to
that
suggest.
Mr. Ridley is a compositionist, and him and I have some common ground.
Ah.
Though I would not mind going about and trying to play that piece of music again. But my pride
But
is not.
you should see if you can speak with Ridley.
Yes, I think that there is wisdom to that in me joining along. All three of us can go. Like I said, it might be a little suspicious.
Mr. Walpole, I believe you would be best to speak with the Miss Cornwall regarding her part in all of this. Perhaps Sir Armstrong and I can meet with this Mr. Ridley and secure some more information.
Yes, certainly. I could also. I don't expect that the actress will be at the Gaiety until later in the day, but I don't know their rehearsal schedule, depending on the size of the production and so on.
I found that it quite odd, if you recall, that the woman hasn't shown up wondering, surely she's heard of Charles's death.
Well, if she only visited the home when Lord Gladstone was out, she might have recognized that she would be considered very unwelcome at the funeral and wished to avoid a scene. And if they broke, if their relationship ended unpleasantly.
I would think, matter of simple decency, she should say something to.
Well, I mean, wasn't the whole bit with Lord Gladstone was that he didn't like her because she seemed indecent?
I mean, an actress.
Oh.
I mean, prostitute actress.
Scullery maid's next up.
I mean, I don't know. It's that seems like a situation where we simply need more information. There could be nefarious motives. It also could just be a simple misunderstanding.
Edward, I think that I've been wondering myself what part I should play in this. Perhaps I'll go with you in the premise of We need to find out if we've heard any of this Ridley's work, and perhaps I can feign interest in something. Perhaps
he himself said that he is a reasonably accomplished composer in his own right. I had never heard of his works personally before, but I can certainly talk up that, I'd heard of your work as a composer, and, I can turn up the bluster.
We'll see if we can find some information on him, and then...
You know what? Yes, that's a marvelous use of our morning. Let's do some carousing and rumor hunting.
And then we'll speak to him. Walpole and Underhill will find the woman and see what her connection may be. And Archie, I'm not sure what Archie's going to do. He can join one of us, or he can go hobnob with the artists and see if he can find anyone else that also belongs to the club now.
Yes, I was going to go pay a visit to the Pacific Club this morning. See who's who, see if I know anyone. Then I know who did not have the decency to invite me when they could have.
I brought up the idea when we were going in. It was all this fluster of, do we have this opportunity? Is this our only way in? All this uncertainty. But we got you in the end.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about any of my other friends who might have already had membership and didn't give me an invite. That's who I'm curious if I'll see when I go.
All right, so I've got 2 going to find Mr. Ridley, 2 going to talk to the actress, and Archibald going to the Pacific Club.
By myself. I'll be
by yourself. Why? What could go wrong?
What could possibly happen to me?
They're all gentlemen.
Yeah, you're a gentleman. Okay, all right. Archibald. So, you make your way to the Pacific Club. You find it without any issues. She'd been there before. As to be expected with it being, probably you guys were up pretty late. So early morning for you is probably like, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. There are people moving or coming in and out of the club. But you give me a arts craft roll. See if you recognize any of it for how plugged in you are with it.
39 is a pass for both painting and drawing.
All right. Yeah, there are a couple artists that you recognize. We'll say Johannes is one of them. You know him. He's a sculptor, and then Cecil is the other one who's he plays around with some ink drawings.
Okay, well, I will go get some breakfast and then go walk by them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And just say, Johannes, Cecil, hi.
Oh, Archibald, what brings you to this part of the city? Looking for some inspiration for some more painting?
I'm always on the lookout for inspiration for more painting, and I just discovered this lovely place just the other night.
Oh, you've been to the club, eh?
Yes, I'm very, very much new here, but it's nice to see some familiar faces.
Oh,
how goes the business?
Oh, it goes well. Who was your sponsor, if you don't mind me asking?
Mr. Holcomb, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yes. Oh,
so
you've heard of him? I mean, it's a...
most assuredly, yes.
You seem quite more shocked than I.
Oh, well. Well, it's just that we didn't think that you were the type that Mr. Holcomb would enjoy to be around. He's a snooty banker.
Well, I just so happen to make good enough art, I believe, for the snooty to take notice of me, despite my other qualities, let's say.
Of course, of course. He's like going, um, well, that's wonderful. Hopefully you get sponsored in. It would be wonderful to have you here. I've always found your art to be very mind-opening.
Yes, well, that's the hope. It's hope. I'm always glad to hear when my art makes an impression.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very impressionistic. Well, I'll say that. If you don't mind the play on words, of course.
Yeah, so that tends to be what people call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine by me.
So,
So tell me, how many other movers and shakers around here, or is it just Mr. Holcomb who seems to be quite the stir?
oh, well, there are some other movers and shakers around here. Every once in a while, Lord Payne will show up, but I haven't seen him in a while. I think he might be busy designing some new architecture. But you know me, I don't like to be around the people that are in the upper crust of society. There's all they want you to do is draw their wife who is too fat for my taste anyway.
Yes, I was telling people just the other night that there's so many paintings these days of people and lounging in gardens. It's quite dire, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good to see you, Archie. Maybe we should get together sometime.
Yes, we should. We definitely should. Say, there's another friend of mine who's quite fond of the theater. Are there any? There seems to be quite the range of artistic types that come through here. I mean, sculptor, ink drawer, myself the painter, an
Oh,
architect, you said. Is there anybody who does work with the theater that comes through here?
oh, yeah, we have some actors that are in. You know, they should be. They shouldn't be here now. They're probably. Well, no, the rehearsal's not yet. Um, one of the members he's writing a play.
Oh, really?
Chillingworth is he's writing a play. He calls it Loki's Gift.
Well, that's quite a feat.
Yeah, he's recruited some of the actors of the club to take part in it.
Well, it's always good to have connections with those sorts of things.
Yeah. We're all invited to the dress rehearsal.
Oh, really? When is that?
Oh, today's the 9th. Well, it is on the 11th.
That sounds like such a splendid occasion. Maybe I'll have chance to meet him myself in time to get an invitation.
Oh, well, I mean, I could invite you myself, of course.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you.
Hmm. He goes, I'll put in a good word for you.
I appreciate that, Cecil or Johan, whichever
Yeah.
one of you was talking to me. Very, very kind of you.
Mhm.
As you can tell, I'm very loved by these artists.
You are, yeah.
Can't get enough of art. You can't get enough of old Archie.
Yeah, you get the feeling if those people that when they're talking to you, they keep taking a couple steps, like they're trying to break away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is a lovely breakfast. I guess I might be seeing you around here
All right.
when I
Oh,
decide to stop by.
yeah. Well, I look
Great.
forward to it.
I'm sure you do.
Mm.
I do. I do.
I do, Archie. You see, and as they walk away, they kind of shake their head. At least he was sober.
He's so far.
Yeah.
The day
All
is still
right.
young.
They is so young. All right. Who is going to meet the actress? Gordon and Blake. All right, let me turn to that page there. All right. The Gaiety Theater. That is in number 4. That is in Soho on Strand Street. It is a a decent sized theater and everything, but when you show up there, you've got the posters up, the Shop Girl starring Margaret Cromwell. Cornwall. Yeah, I knew it. As soon as I said it, I was like, that's the wrong name.
You had to look.
Yep, Cornwall, and so, but yeah, you do see people moving around, and there is a door guard.
Yes, Underhill. So it looks as though they are rehearsing earlier in the day than I expected. So they're not going late in the evening, I guess. They've got some time to tighten things up. We'll have to have some excuse, of course, for invading a rehearsal. We could, one approach is that we are, no, that's not very discreet. I mean, we could say that we were dispatched by Lord Gladstone to inform the young lady of the death in case she was unaware, but then we're name dropping, and I'm not sure Gladstone would like that terribly.
Yeah. Well, perhaps we could take a direct approach, at least with the doorman, ask to speak with her, and then, kind of take it from there and just ask about her relationship with Charles and assess her willingness to do so.
Let's keep her. I suppose there's a non-zero chance that I've had something produced at the Gaiety in the past, but it's probably not likely.
Right.
Given that I'm on the avant-garde side and this is a business establishment on the Strand. There's also the possibility that I know some management here. And then part of the demi-monde. I'd like to have a little bit of an in rather than counting on the person whose job it is to keep people out.
Okay. You having a play produced here is probably not good odds, but I'll give you a luck roll to see if you have interacted with the management.
That's, Oh, 12. I know somebody. So I'll Underhill. I know the assistant director of the place. I'll hand the doorman my card, and I'll scribble a note in the back. It's to see Mr. Reynolds, and I'll scribble in the back. Curious about the production. Mind if we drop by and have a private preview? Sign that.
Okay. He goes, he looks at it and he's like going, I will go in and check there, Mr. Walpole.
Appreciate it. And I'll also slip him a small note.
Okay. All right. Yeah. He's like, right away. Heads up. And in a few minutes, Mr. Reynolds comes down and he's like, Blake, it's always good to see you. And who is your friend?
Oh, I'm sure you've run into Underhill around. Shows up just about everywhere in time. He's a magnificent organizer of people and things.
Oh, well, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise, Mr. Reynolds.
So said you were hoping to get a peek in?
Yes, there's a little bit of buzz about the Shop Girl show, and it's not going to open for a bit. But I'd like to, we could pop our nose in, see how things are going.
Oh.
Perhaps talk to a member or two of the cast just to get a sense of things.
Oh, wow. Well, they're not doing a rehearsal right now. We're working on the stage, but we have some of the cast is here and all. The star herself is in right now.
Oh, all these years I've never actually had the opportunity to meet Miss Cornwall. I hear she's got a remarkable personality.
She does. She's a very fine actress, wonderful actress. He's like going, come in. He goes, thank you, Ronald, for letting me know that they were here. Yes, sir. So he brings you in, and they are kind of like fine tuning the set pieces, making sure that like all the painting and stuff is just right. And maybe they've done a couple rehearsals, and someone in the background's like, oh, hey, that set piece there might need a little bit touch up on it. I was not an artistic guy, so I'm just making that. He takes you down, and he's just kind of giving you small talk about what all they're doing. He's like, oh yeah, our first couple shows are sold out, so people just love to have a good comedy, and it ends with a happy end. It has a happy ending. So
Yes.
I think
That is what keeps the popular folks popular.
It is.
Why I shall never make it to the West End.
Yeah. But I must tell you that I'm a little biased for comedy too. My favorite of Shakespeare's was The Midsummer Night's Dream. Very, very entertaining.
It does operate on multiple levels. It's subtle for a creation of so many centuries past.
He comes to the door and he goes, well, let me introduce you to Margaret. And he knocks, and you hear a voice goes, enter. The door opens, and he's like, Margaret, my dear, I've got a dear friend of mine, Blake Walpole here, who's I'd love to introduce him to you, and his associate, Mr. Underhill.
Man.
Oh, and so Margaret is she looks like she's probably in about her mid-30s, but you know how people that kind of live a fast lifestyle, they age a little bit older, and so she's probably keeping her looks up through a lot of foundation and makeup, but she still has a very lovely voice, has been broken down from smoking cigarettes a lot. She gets up and she puts out her hand for you to kiss.
Charmed to meet you, Miss Cornwall.
Oh, well, come in. When you go into her dressing room, you notice on her where she's doing her makeup, she's got this statue, if you want to call it a statue. It's this green, almost comes up like a cone. It's maybe made out of jade. Very curious looking. Something about it, when you kind of look at it, you're not sure, hey, is it completely smooth, or is there some imperfections on it? Without your peripheral vision, it looks like there's some angles, but when you look at it straight on, it looks like it's been shined down.
Does it evoke my dreams of the night before?
No.
I hope that we have the good presence of mind to bring some small gift and token of her generosity.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Candies or chocolate or some such.
Yeah. She takes it and she goes, thank you. And then as she sits down, you almost swear she purposely bends over a little further than would be proper to give you a kind of a look down her bodice. And then sits up. she goes, "Oh, well, it's wonderful to meet some of my fans." She's like going, "Are you wanting an autograph, or maybe what can I do for you?"
Uh, an autograph, of course, would be honored, and I did bring a book along. In addition, I'm curious just to, in preparation for the opening of this show, which promises to be a great success, which everyone's very excited about. I'm curious to see how you prepare, what your process is in the stage, how you use your artist's mind to interpret the material, that sort of thing.
Oh,
I myself am a playwright of minor note, a bit more on the
oh,
avant-garde side.
oh, oh, I mainly just go with what the director says, and then try and twist it to just a little bit shocking at the edge of social norms and all, but not enough that people get offended, enough that to make cause a little titillation for the men, and maybe a little gas from the women, so the men can remember what they lost when they tied themselves down with their.
Hi.
So you appreciate the subtle use of your feminine powers, in a sense.
Yeah. I relish it.
Well, bravo to that, I say. Of course, that I assume you yourself is an object of desire who is never attainable. That can be a lonely existence, can it not?
Oh, at times it can be, but I've never been hurting for a willing suitor, a gentleman for the evening.
Indeed, I can imagine that few would find it within their powers to resist you if they were to tempt. I guess it's time to try a psychology roll on this creature.
Okay.
Let's see what she's up to. And did she
Oh.
notice the artist's mind?
Oh, yeah.
I have a regular only, 33 under 40.
Okay. She is over 50% on her skill, so you need a hard. When you said artist mind, I missed it. So when you said that, when you said the artist mind, she might have had like a smile come across her face.
All right. I feel like 13 is a bit dear. I don't want to plunge below Sir Edward in the luck rankings.
That's right.
If your luck is lower than mine, that's a problem.
Yeah, precisely. So I'm going to sort of nod to Underhill and let him take over the small talk while I try to look around for a hint.
Yeah. Miss Cornwall, it's so wonderful to hear about your process. I'm curious. I must say myself as a bachelor, are you more attracted to the artistic types, or do you prefer gentlemen of substance?
I prefer gentlemen of substance between their legs.
Oh, okay. Can I roll a psychology? Okay.
Sure.
I think it's pretty obvious. No, that's a major fumble. Okay,
Yeah,
I understand where she's coming out with that. Oh my! I'm kind of like thinking like, oh, his trousers, his pocket watch. It just kind of goes right over Underhill's head. He's just like, oh yes, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm wondering, what is this play about?
Oh, this play here? Oh, it's a light-hearted romp. I play the shop girl, a charming young London girl who falls in love with a poor student from a good family, but I've always dreamed of marrying wealthy and all. But, as of would be not too surprising as time goes on, he is actually inherits millions from an uncle who passes away in America. And then, of course, we run off. It's all fluff, but the masses enjoy it.
Yes, yes. Once again, a happy ending. I'd appreciate that. I saw a production of Romeo and Juliet recently where, unlike the horrid original, the lovers end up surviving at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Warmed my heart. I'm wondering if you connect to this role at all, as if you've experienced anything in your own romantic life that echoes the themes of the story.
My romantic life. I've never married rich. I've never married, if that's what you're asking, but I do only date the wealthy. They're the only ones that can attract me. Now, for a night or two, a poor man can meet my needs if he's built the right way.
I think I see where you're headed here.
I'm laying it on pretty thick.
Yeah. Yeah. All of this talk about, gentlemen and bachelors and young, beautiful women like yourself has me thinking of a gentleman that I work for, Lord Gladstone. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Oh, yes. I dated his son for a while. He was a fun tryst. He was there's something wonderful about dating the inexperienced. It's almost like it's your first time again.
I see. Curious, I'm sure you must have heard the tragic news, of course.
I had. It's awful. It was awful to hear. Charles was a sensitive soul and all, and I did enjoy my time with him until, unfortunately, once I introduced him to Ernest, he became obsessed with working with Ernest and started ignoring me. And of course, as you would imagine, I should always come first in a gentleman's life.
Yes, of course.
Not his work or his friends.
Yes, nothing but the best for you. This Ernest fellow, he must be quite the draw.
Oh, he's an interesting man. He's an artist. He made this, and she points at the green sculpture. He calls it the Jade Dancer. It doesn't look like much of a dancer to me, but he says that if I ever need to defend myself, that it will be that I would find it quite surprising. Seems rather heavy. And she kind of picks it up and looks at it. She's like, "But it is entrancing." It's like going, here, look.
Yes, I'm gonna grab it.
Okay, and give me a power roll.
That's a success. Yes, that's a regular success.
Okay. When you first touch it, like your vision kind of, how like on the old TVs, like if the lines would kind of separate. So it's like your vision goes like that, then it snaps back quickly, and you have a little bit of vertigo for a moment, and then everything, you focus back on it. And so you're like, oh, maybe I had some blood loss. I didn't, low blood pressure. I didn't sleep well. But yeah.
Wow, that's quite interesting. Thank you. I wonder what I believe he was a composer. What it sounds like Ernest is a sculptor of some sort.
Oh, it's he's likes to sculpt, he likes to paint. I mean, he's a playwright, last I had heard. That's why he was so interested in Charles, wanted Charles to write a the overture for his magnum opus, as he calls it. How can it be your magnum opus when it's your first play you've ever written? But
See, is he? I mean, that's a very curious piece. Certainly, is he? Does he display genuine talent in all of these arts, or is he a sort of jack of all trades and master of none sort?
I'd say he's probably more of a probably the second. You know, he dabbles if he could stay focused, but you know, his life is a libertine, which is why I enjoyed being around him for a while. But you know, it's exhausting because he has no attachment to anyone, and well, as I need a man who's willing to worship me, to put it in as blunt as possible.
Miss Cornwall, it certainly is a sign that young Charles was not in his proper state of mind if he could be distracted by some fellow and his magnum opus, as he called it, rather than paying attention to you and your obvious attractions.
Well, yes, well, that's what I thought too. But you know, it is how it is. There's always another rich bachelor that I can meet up with.
Yes, and I suppose a worldly woman like you probably felt a pang breaking it off with him, but if you weren't getting the attention you need, obviously you shouldn't waste your time.
Yes, I don't want you to take it wrong. I am sad that he's passed, but you know, he just wasn't meeting my needs anymore.
Yes, as Romeo and Juliet teaches us that we can find those star-crossed loves
Yeah.
in our lives. Yes.
My friend, a painter, Archibald Lovell, he's a rather abstract creator himself in many regards. I think he'd find this sculpted piece interesting. Is there some place that, well, I'm sorry, what did you say his name was? Clarence?
Ernest.
Ernest Chillingworth.
Yes, does Chillingworth show his work somewhere that I could take my friend to have a look at other objects like the Jade Dancer?
Oh, I can give you the address to his studio. Hey, him and his hanger-oners. Hey, he calls him the artist's mind. Rather pretentious, in my opinion, but you know, that's right up Ernest's alley to be pretentious. She's like going, it's at 20 Great Chapel Street in Soho. So, you know, just about 10 blocks from here.
Very convenient indeed.
Excellent.
Yes, I'll have to send my friend Lovell a note, and perhaps we'll drop by there at some point. I look forward very much to seeing the shop girl when it opens. I imagine that when you're fully engaged with an audience, your personal magnetism is only increased by the loving attention of an audience.
Oh, yes. There's nothing like holding an audience's rapt attention in your hand. The only thing that's better is holding a man in your hand.
Rather.
Well,
I Keeper, how compelling is she? Does she have a sort of unnatural degree of appeal? Or is she simply attractive, somewhat lascivious, and
yes. Yeah, she's very attractive. Like her appearance is 80, and she's, yeah, she's a woman that's used to getting what she wants out of men, and she doesn't buy into the Victorian.
Mhm. Or she buys into one side of it rather strongly. As for the Jade Dancer, there isn't any reason you should need protection. Did
No, I don't know what Ernest was talking about. I think he was trying to, at the moment, I was his current infatuation. But, 2 days went by and something else grabbed his attention.
Oh, he's a flighty one, it sounds like.
Extremely.
All these different works and media and fickle. Yes.
Yeah.
Funny, some people just don't have the wherewithal.
True.
You've been very generous with your time.
Yes.
Perhaps after our friends have investigated Ernest's work, we can entertain you at some point in return for your generosity.
I would like that. I would like that.
Give her my card.
Yeah, I'll give her my card as well, and I'll say, if I know any wealthy bachelors, I will send them your way, madam.
Oh,
I am what they call a confirmed bachelor. I kind of give her a wink because I know she's been like hitting on me the whole time.
yeah. She takes your book, Blake, and she signs it, and then she kisses the book to leave a little lipstick on it for you.
I'll briefly give it a sniff as I close it and tuck it away to indicate the reciprocal interest. And then get the hell out of there.
All right. So, Florian and Edward, you guys were going to go find Daniel.
Yes, we were going to look up first to see what he'd done.
Yeah, we wanted to try and do a little bit of research to find his composition history. Now, I've only got a 50 in art music. But is that enough for me to know, like, hey, what's like a good hotspot of like musically oriented people?
Oh, yeah.
So I will take them to this musicians club. And in there, we're going to ask around, hey, ever heard much about this Daniel Ridley feller? I've heard he's an accomplished composer. If you want some kind of social skill roll for rumor gathering, I'm good at talking.
Sure, give me a charm or a fast talk, your choice. Probably more of a charm because you're really not trying to lie.
I've got charm. Here's the thing, right? I got 50 charm and I rolled a 62. That's not an obscene amount of luck, but what it does is it would make the group luck roll 38. And I'm suspicious of that. So,
but we're together.
Yes.
So
I mean, if you want to try and roll, sure. But otherwise, I'm going to push.
All right. So, Florian, what you find? Daniel Ridley, he in his early 20s, he was a quite an accomplished pianist on the continent. He would travel around. Unfortunately, life on the road is a lot of drinking, and his alcoholism kind of ruined his career as an accomplished pianist. And he's come back to the United Kingdom, and people haven't heard much out of him since then, except for, we've all know the artists that have drank themselves out of their career.
Odd that he would be chosen to help with such a composition. Sounds like he was in a worse place than Charlie was.
Really? He's been suffering in the pits of, what is the word? Alcoholism those alienists are using?
Drunkenness.
Yes, drunkenness. A damn drunk. Well, that's fascinating. Maybe he'll be doing a bit of day drinking. It'll be easier to influence him.
Can we say though that we got kind of a list of things that he worked on? And
Yeah.
as Edward, have you ever been to the continent, the colonies, the states?
You know, I can't say I have. I've been to Egypt, I've been across the Mediterranean, but I have not yet brought myself to see Uncle Sam, as those Yanks call it.
I was hoping that we could say something about we caught his show in Cincinnati, but
Cincinnati, that's the place where there's a lot of German people, right?
I think everybody performs there.
Yes, I can do a bit of bluffing about the Queen City.
In any case,
what is it? What is that district they've got over there? Over the Rhine? That's where all the performers are.
Yeah. So when I said continent, I meant Europe.
You had me over here talking about Cincinnati, living 20 minutes away from it.
I thought you'd been across the
Well, I'm rather well traveled in the continent.
You mean he's just been across the strait, right?
Yeah. I traveled through the continent.
Well, in that case, we would probably know some of the places that he's performed in. Well, so we have some talk.
Milan,
we have some
the
serious
Orient
talking.
Express. That existed in 1896, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, yes. The Simplon Orient Express. Well, in that case, we have some fuel for discussion. But I didn't expect him to be a drunkard.
That works to our favor, though. It'll be easier to trick him.
Well, my original idea was to tell him that we were interested in securing his, but why would we? I don't know why the bloody hell this Chillingworth would want a washed-up musician.
Well, in that letter, it was mentioning, he was being brought in as a replacement because old Charles was having an artist block. I mean, he clearly wasn't Chillingworth's first choice. Maybe it's more of a matter, the means to get the end or whatever. Anyways,
yes, find out.
It's worth discussing what our exact game plan is when we talk to this drunk. Do we want to pose as people that take risky advances and, I know you're down on your luck, but I'm looking to invest in an up-and-coming artist. I play up the blustering.
Well, perhaps I don't know now.
I mean, we could always just play it safe and do as the club and just watch him for a little while before we make a move.
Well, let's see whereabouts he is. If he's at his own flat, then that'll make it a little more difficult. But if he's a drunk, then we can follow him around and
yes, I mean, if we could get him in a well, it's rather uncouth, but yes, a back alley maybe after the bar and being, oh well, now, old chap.
Maybe we could talk amongst ourselves and get his attention.
Really, really, like play up a drunken scene, perhaps?
That we're looking for a composer to compose some, I don't know.
Oh, look at us. We're looking for a composer.
Something for Walpole.
And we have this artist friend.
There.
Yes, let's, I think I've got the letter in my waistcoat. The address is in... It's in
Soho? No, it's on Noel Street.
Noel Street. Ooh, a rather bohemian part of town. How wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's have at it.
All right. So, when you find it, it is a rundown terrace house. There is it's a two-story house. You can hear from the upstairs, the window is open. You can hear the sound of a piano stopping and starting, like someone's playing and then stopping, and they start playing again.
Does it
Yep.
sound anything like the stuff that's written on the manuscript paper?
Give me an arts craft music.
You've got a 5, Thom.
Well, yeah, I mean, Sir Edward is the only one who's actually
Whoa.
looked at the music.
Okay. I rolled an 01 critical
Oh, okay.
success. I feel like that's bad.
Yeah. You can, because you can hear like some of the strange chords that are coming out, but like you couldn't place where it was in the music because like he plays one or two chords and he stops. You can surmise with an 01 that he's making notes on, the clefs, making some changes and everything. And that's what he keeps trying out. But yeah,
Well, I say,
He's taken over.
He's got those dexterous fingers. He's taking that composition and building upon it.
Yes, but now I begin to suspect, possible motives for foul play, yes?
Theoretically, yes. He received that rather distressing letter, but overall, there's nothing criminal in it.
No, I'm saying perhaps he wanted the composition all to himself.
Yes, quite
took
likely,
care of
but the
Charles.
question is that Charles receives a letter. How? Maybe. Artists and their egos often conflict with each other. It's definitely worth considering, but his tone in that letter at least seemed polite given the circumstance. I don't know if it's necessarily jealousy and more so, he was unsuitable, I'm bringing you in now, but
we now have a possible in, though. We are walking by on the street and can hear the music. We could simply curiously inquire as to what the young man is doing.
Yes, I'll start talking scales and time signatures and get ourselves a write-in. Oh, I heard that from the street. A rather fascinating composition.
Yeah, that works.
That seems more believable than, oh, we've heard a struggling artist and we're working on a play.
There we go.
All right, then. Let's waltz on up, old chap.
Okay.
And
all right. So
I'll go up and
when you get there, you see, there's two like bells, one 17A and one 17B.
But we don't know which room it is.
Yeah, you could probably surmise that A is probably the ground floor, B is probably the upper floor.
With my 01, which floor was the music coming from?
The upper floor.
I will ring B then.
Okay. You ring it. The music doesn't stop. And
I'll give it 60 seconds before I turn to Florian and say, I think he's rather engrossed in his work.
Perhaps. So you'll try it again? If that doesn't work, I have an idea.
Okay.
I'll try again. Maybe if he doesn't respond, we can call upon his neighbor and ask, what's with this fellow up there?
Go outside into the street, just call up, you there. What's that you're playing?
Yes, though at the same time,
if we can hear him, he could hear us.
Assuming that he is not gripped within the vice of obsession.
Yeah.
I will ring again and I'll put my arm into it this time. Like I am
really push that button.
Ringing the if it's a push button. For some reason when you said bell, my brain went like literal of there being a bell. I think that's also part of the Victorian setting.
Yeah.
This is 1890. Yeah.
Yeah, you probably got like some kind of.
Do they have
a big heavy door knocker?
One of the turning things.
Yeah.
Duh.
Either way, you don't get a response.
Well, I say, old chap, I think we're gonna need to start yelling.
Hello, you there. You playing the piano.
You there?
The music stops. You see a heavy-set man walk to the window, and he shuts it.
Okay. Well, I dare say. I guess he's not assuming to guess. Let's knock on the neighbor. Let's ask them about him. This is rather queer. I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to do the
Ring.
door knocker for 17A.
Okay. The door opens, and you see a large built man. He goes, yes.
I say, fellow, forgive me for this rudeness. I only want a moment of your time here. But while we were walking the street, we heard this music coming from upstairs. And well, I'm a bit of a patron of the arts myself, and I got intrigued into it. You know, I'm always looking for talent, but the fellow just refuses to answer his door. Do you know anything about him or what's up with him? I'm just trying to look for a prospective musician here for my orchestra.
Mr. Ridley? Yeah, he's working on a composition. He's not to be disturbed.
Oh, well, I dare say
You know
that
what his-
composition.
Do you know anything about his habits? Does he go out? Does he go out for dinner, eat, go to the pub?
No, he's employed me to go get his food, his sustenance.
Oh, that's a shame. We won't be able
I
to
find
offer him.
Keeper,
Mhm.
the use of sustenance I find slightly odd. And now my suspicion is going up. Can I roll psychology to assess this guy's body language? Like, is he a little hostile, standoffish, or is
Sure.
he more welcoming, or like what's the vibe I'm getting?
Roll away.
I rolled a 29, so that's a regular.
He is you feel like he's annoyed with you, and he's probably been on edge because he's been listening to strange music for a
Yeah.
while.
That adds up to given the context. Not super suspicious. Well, all right. Sorry to disturb you again, my fellow. I was just rather curious, and even when I yelled up to that man upstairs, he just would not. He just came up and closed the window. I say, some of these artists are just allergic to money.
Yeah.
Would you, sir, do us a favor and to give him my card when next you take him his meal, and tell him that we may be interested in hiring him.
I'll give
He
you £5
seems-
if you do.
£5. Oh, well, then yeah, I will definitely take your card up to there, Mr. And he looks at your card, Buckman.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
I hand him those
And,
£5.
Sir Edward, let's go.
I say,
Yes.
I hope I don't lose that bet with Archie.
Now I begin to understand your motivation.
Give him a wink and a nod.
So he's reclusive. He's working.
He's paying a
furiously
man to
on
go
it.
and get his supplies. I don't think we're going to catch him going to any bars. He seems like he's gripped in the artist's obsession.
We'll find out, I suppose, eventually. I don't know what we can do. Let's go find the others and see how well they fare.
Maybe they uncovered something. I believe we said, everyone, that we were going to meet for a late lunch back at the club. Oh, I do hope they remembered.
All right.
Back.
All right. So, yep, we'll gather you guys all to up at White's Gentlemen's Club again.
Well, we had a waste of a day. We did some research on Mr. Ridley, but he would not see us. He is in the middle of composing, and is even having someone sent out to get his meals for him.
Yes, he's
But
so focused on his work of finishing this soundtrack composition for Loki's gift that he's sealed himself on his apartment floor and that he's sending some other fellow out to go and get his groceries. We tried calling out, playing the role of sponsor. He just shut his bloody window. We also
and
found
we
out
do
that
know that
apparently
he was
Wow.
playing the music, the
Yes, it
composition.
sounded like the composition, and he was perfecting it. I could hear that he was adding to what I saw from the score. It's also worth noting that we did a bit of asking around among the musician community, and we found out that he's a bit of a wastrel and a drunk, not a well-known reputation, a rather shady figure to be brought in as a replacement for madman. Well, maybe we've exchanged just one madman for another.
You
What did
know,
you gents find?
before we ask that, there is one thing now that I think about it, Sir Edward. It's quite odd. He was playing that same composition, but we haven't invented the copy machine yet. How does he know what to play? We have the original composition on manuscript paper.
Well, that is rather curious, though
How
Well, I
is
mean,
he?
people employ
it's
copyists.
possible that Chillingworth had given Charles a frame to work off of.
Perhaps you don't.
But
you
yes,
don't
no, that
hire
is a noteworthy
copyist
point.
until
That-
you've actually finished the composition.
Yes. I don't know.
Charlie might have turned in a work in progress, and that's what Chillingworth was unsatisfied with, and then he brought this Ridley fellow in.
Perhaps.
Regardless, it gives credence to poor young Charles' impression that his work was being stolen.
Yes,
Someone
yes, maybe that's
else's-
what it was, is that he found out that they were losing faith and they made a copy and he killed himself because he couldn't measure up and Mr. Ridley was making more progress.
Well, Chillingsworth's first name is Ernest. He's a gadfly, apparently an enigmatic personality, or magnetic rather. And
Yes.
he has a gallery not far from here, so we have a location if we wish to beard the lion in its den. As for the lady herself, I don't think she knows anything regarding any matters esoteric. She
She strikes me as quite fancied with herself above all else.
She
Big
is
ego.
not a modest woman in any sense of the word, and her focus is fiscal and carnal. Her affair with Charles was one of many affairs that she's had. But it was he who lost interest in her when this Chillingworth showed up. At least interest sufficient for her requirements.
That's interesting.
Yes, so
So he put
their
the work
romance.
over her.
Yeah, the ending of their romance was likely not a cause of his demise.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, that's fascinating.
not-
he set
not-
aside the fancies of a woman.
Does it then stand to reason that the loss of being able to impress Chillingsworth, the idea that Chillingsworth wanted to bring in somebody else, that may be the motivation to be
Yes,
told
like a
one's art
father
is not very
complex. Seeing him as an authority figure, wanting to impress him, seeing him not measuring up, and then being replaced by another son, so to say.
good. It'll be interesting to meet this Chillingsworth fellow.
Yes, he seems to be the spider at the center of this web now, doesn't he?
Yes, well, there seems to be. I got an invitation to attend the dress rehearsal for Loki's gift.
Oh,
the 11th.
dearie! Really?
Yes.
And
It's marvelous.
and in 2 days' time, you say.
Yes, so today's the 9th, so in 2 days. There's
So
also
if-
another major player at this Pacific Club, one Lord Payne, an architect of sorts, who seems to have not been around lately.
Lord Payne. Please
Payne.
tell me there's a Y in there.
I believe so.
Good thing he's not a major pain.
My God. Well,
Great Scott.
I'm going to end the episode right there on that.
Yes.
On that note.
So after luncheon, we'll all go to Ernest Chillingsworth Gallery and see what the great man is up to, yes?
That seems
Yes, I
reasonable
think
to me.
so. A good way to spend the afternoon into the evening.
very good.
Seems like quite the Renaissance man, or at least he fancies himself.
Yes, hands in many pots. Let's see the spider for ourselves.
Might be too little butter on too much bread. We'll see.
Oh,
I eat my crumpet in response.
contemplating.
All right. So you guys are planning to go to the studio?
Yeah, and I think we want to go as a herd.
Okay. Yep. Yep. And we're getting close, I think. I'll describe the studio from the outside to you. It is on 20 Great Chapel Street in Soho. It is a 4-story building, but it's kind of skinnier, so they build it up. You can see, if you're looking at it from the outside, you can see lots of people moving around by the windows. It seems like it's a very active place where people are, and some people, you don't see people leaving or coming in, but there's definitely people here.
Cool.
You're muted there,
Is there
Blake.
public signage? Does it
Nope.
say Chillingworth Studio or anything?
Nope.
Just a street address and about.
Yep.
Only for those in the know.
And the activity, the people bustling about, the window, is it? What can be seen from the street front regarding activity?
You see some people. You've got like easels up. It looks like maybe they're painting, and
It's got a veritable factory in place. Some of this might, of course, be in advance of the production. If the dress is in 2 nights, though, they'd be rather desperate. And for that matter, you'd think that the score would be finished and Ridley's work done with the dress so soon.
Yes, it all seems a rather, I don't know.
Bit of an artist conclave.
Yeah, it's like a rush production. It's almost something they're putting on for themselves more than anybody else.
Well, Level, the sculpture that he'd given to the actress was a curious object, and I think you might be interested in what this fellow makes. Poor Underhill looked to be fairly shaken, just taking hold of the thing. It sort of was
Yes.
squirmy in the periphery of my vision.
Yes, I experienced a sudden strange feeling as if I hadn't eaten and stood up too quickly. It's quite an odd sensation, but I'm not sure if it was due to the sculpture or due to Miss Cornwall's intimations.
Well, let's see if the great Ernest Chillingworth is friendlier than his dog's body. And I'll ring the bell, Paul.
all right. So you ring the bell, and the door opens, and that's where we'll stop it.
Oh my goodness.
Our players included Troy Wildryer, David Gasaway, Morgan Llewellyn, Sham Sabin, and myself, with Keith Craig as the keeper of arcane lore. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you would like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.